Tariq Nasheed right here in Los Angeles, making it do what it do, man. Y'all check out Black Authentic Truth. Get some real good games on YouTube. Black Authentic Truth, man. Check it out, man. Real good information.
What I want to talk about is the sexual degradation of our community, the promiscuity of our community. Why are things like that today? And have things always been like that? And the quick answer is no, things have not always been the way they are, where you see that we're okay with our sisters, our mothers, our daughters being very sexualized, being degraded, half naked. These things are actually cool in this day and age. But how did it get there? How did it get to the point where we see no problem with a woman being half naked? We see no problem with a woman prostituting. We don't see any issue with these things. These things are things that everybody should have the freedom to do, and there's nothing wrong with it. I would beg to differ. I would say that when you see these things, you know that there are some serious problems going on behind the scenes with this person. There has been a bad childhood, possibly parents that were drug addicted, molestation in the past, a host of different dysfunctions that actually do happen, and we can't act like they don't happen in our community. Like nobody, when they're a child, says, when I grow up, I want to have a OnlyFans, or when I grow up, I want to be on a stripper pole. These are real issues that are affecting our community. Not only that, the lack of discretion when it comes to how we move sexually, just, sleeping with people. Like, we're taught in our community, I was taught, we all was taught in our community that, when you're young, you want to, run through people. And then when you're done with all of that, then you can get married. Like, we're not taught that you should be, when you lay down with a person, you should stick with that person and you should be down with that person for the rest of your life. But see, this could never actually happen because we don't learn like the basics of courting, the basics of getting to know someone. Like, we just hop in each other's drawers right away. And then what comes out of that is a single parent home, or what comes out of that is just, a broken home. There's more dysfunction that's going to go into another generation. So I just want to give a little history of, like, from my opinion and my perspective of how we actually got to this point, how we just don't care anymore, and how we just let ourselves go and our people go as far as sexuality. When it comes to the sexualization of our community and the lack of care when it comes to how we move as far as our personal lives and, being promiscuous and, doing what we want to do. These things go back to not only the beginning of America, but the sexual revolution of America. When you look at the sexual revolution, which was the first one was the Victorian age, the 1800s, 1900s, you had flapper girls and you had Americans having petting parties like swinger parties, at that time. And America started to accept a more revealing woman. And so as time went on, women start to be more revealing, wear more revealing clothing, and certain acts such as, prostitution, and they were kind of like legalized in a way. You have people becoming swingers. You have sexually suggestive literature coming out. You have all types of things that are now being accepted when they were never accepted. You had the bikini come out, which at first they rejected that, but then they accepted that. So as time went on, people started to get more naked. America started to get more naked, and it wasn't taboo anymore. Then you had like the Playboy magazine come out and publications like that to start pushing pornography, right? And so as a group of Black people who were the second class citizens wanting to integrate, eventually we would start to take on these things. We would start to want to do the same thing. It's just a natural thing, right? It's just natural for everybody to fall in line with what is popping and what is going on in America. So when now you get to, the 60s, you had what they call the last sexual revolution, where you have the gay liberation movement. You had the golden age of porn. You had the free love movement, the thing where, people would just, lay with people. So you had all of these sexual movements. Then you throw in women's liberation, you throw in the feminism movement, you throw in all of these movements. And then what happens is all of these things affected us negatively in our community. These things, following these ideologies didn't help us at all, right? Because the turnout was us not valuing being together. And let me just say, when it comes to marriage, even back then, people weren't getting married. People were more into swinging, doing what they want to do, being sexually liberated, basically having sex with who you want to have sex with, when you want to have sex, your body, your choice. It was that type of energy. And so we took on that type of energy too. We took on that type of energy, but that type of energy really hurt us as a community because we were already struggling as a family unit. But then when you have the ideology that a woman can do things on her own, she should be sexually liberated, and a man too, now you have people that just grow up having sex with everybody, or you have people that never get to actually know a person before they lay down with them. The woman gets pregnant and now the man is not in the picture. And so this thing actually happened and it hurt us the most. And you see that in our community today where we'll get with somebody. Let me just say for a brother, I'm going to use a brother as an example. We'll get with a sister. You like her, whatever. She's cute. You lay with her, right? Couple of months go by. You figure out she's a monster. You don't like her. You know, it's some things you just can't deal with. This is something that you're supposed to learn before you even lay down, before you unzip your pants, that you got to get to know a person. The same with a woman. Like a lot of y'all will say that, you know, he tricked me. He did this. No, sis, you gotta take your time. We're not taught that in our community. In the Black community, no one was taught that. I wasn't taught that. Many of us was not taught to learn a person. Matter of fact, if you're going to be with somebody, make sure they be the only person you be with. Like that just blows your mind to even think of like being with one person, because we were raised to think, and we saw, you know, family members, people we know be with multiple people. And so that whole idea, that whole, you know, movement is what spurred how we move. Like that whole sexual revolution in America actually really affected Black people to the point where we don't make good decisions when it comes to sex. We don't have, not only that, you have the LGBT community or Black people that were, you know, in that community come out of that movement. So you got to ask the question, do we really even do anything that is of us? Because it seems like everything we do, we have learned it. Everything that is controversial, negative, sexualized, all of these things that we do don't actually originate from us. And I wouldn't even blame us. I don't blame a Black woman or blame a Black man for these type of faults. I don't blame them until you hear the truth. You hear the truth of the history of how we even got started doing or living or having these type of viewpoints. How did we get started? And once you find out how we got started and that it actually has nothing to do with your people, then now I can blame you. I can say, well, you got the information. I showed you, whoop, 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 connected the dots. This is why we behave this way. And this is why we can't get right. Like if we're going to continue to go on the same direction that we've been going, man, you can foresee a lot of hell coming to our community, more and more destruction, more and more bad things happening to us because we have lost our sexual morality and just morality in general. We have lost it following the morality of America, because America would say, do what you want to do, live it up, be sexually liberated, you know, have sex with this person, with that person. We got pills, we got contraceptives, we got condoms. You can do what you want to do. You know what I mean? And that doesn't even work. All that did was increase people's willingness to go out and whore themselves out. And so you look at that, you look at all of the eras of what the sexual revolution had, and now we basically are doing all of them. So we have been Democrat, we have been Republican, we have been Christian, we have followed America. And not only that, we have followed their morality. And their morality, following that level of morality, has hurt the Black community. So what you got coming out of that is a high teen pregnancy rate. I know y'all seen a child get pregnant before or heard of it in our community. Let's not be fake. We know this happens. This comes from the sexual revolution. This comes from bad choices and following the ideas that are popular in the world. We're number one in abortions. So now, because they have abortion and they have these different things that you can terminate a pregnancy, now we're having all of this sex. And then we just say, well, we can do that because we can just go abort the baby. Now you see more and more sisters in revealing clothing, half naked. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look good. It's not cute if you're not showing no skin. That's basically the norm now. And not only that, high level of STDs we have in our community. That comes from the sexual immorality that we have, the high level of sexual immorality. You don't have to sleep with everybody that smiles in your face. You don't have to be with every sister that got a nice body. You know what I mean? You don't need it. You could discipline yourself and you could get to know a person first. And we also suffer from a high level of sexual crimes. Black women do. So there's a host of things that have came out of that sexual revolution that have really hurt us as a people and have taken down the level of our morality and our thinking process to where we're like brute animals. We don't think about none of the consequences or what can come out of the thing. We just shoot first and ask questions later. And so that is how, in my perspective, the sexual revolution has basically affected us in a negative way. It affected the Black community in a negative way. And now that we know better, it's time for us to do better. So let me know what you think about this video. Give me your thoughts and your opinions. And with that, this is Black Authentic Truth.